Welcome back to the channel. We are talking about building better businesses and becoming better men through Christ. And today, we're going to dive into Proverbs a little bit and relate that to uh, kind of business specifically, especially in the time of the year we're in right now. We're in February, and from where I'm from in North Dakota, it's cold and winter has been really long. And whether you're in winter or not, there typically tends to be after the new year, just like a lag. It feels sluggish after those like new year goals are brand new. And then you get into the reality of life and those don't always hit. They don't always hit right away. And for me specifically, I like to talk about be super real and transparent. Um, you have those seasons where you get a little lazier, especially if as a business owner, um, you're kind of in charge of yourself, right? You don't really have someone talking down to you and telling you what to do specifically. And sometimes for me, I get a little lazy. I sit around at home during my lunch. I might sit there for 30 minutes and it turns into 2 hours, and I'm just like wasting away time. In Proverbs 10, Solomon wrote these proverbs, and he kind of builds up Proverbs to the point where chapter 10 he starts going in. And one of my favorite verses is in Proverbs 10:4, and he says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." He then goes on to say, "He who gathers crops in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son." And so that verse really hits those days where, or those weeks or months where you might not be getting the results you're seeking, right? And at some point, we have to hold ourselves accountable to where, okay, was I being lazy? And if I was lazy, he tells me that those hands will make for poverty. He's pretty transparent about that. But diligent hands bring wealth. Um, Diligent hands bring wealth. Like when we're working on something that is of importance, uh, I found there's been peace in that. Like not being lazy and actually doing something that is diligent. It brings us wealth. Now it might not always be in the monetary sense, right? Like, of course, our businesses are based on like, hey, how much income are we bringing? Revenue's coming in, but there's also a wealth factor in just knowing that I'm doing the work that makes me more confident that the results will come. And I think that's how he's talking here. He then goes into, "He who gathers crops in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son." And right now in my business, we're in the part of the season where we are planting seeds. We're gathering. I'm trying to focus on the camera. I always look down. But we're in the season where we're planting our seeds, we're growing our crops, and at some point there's going to be a stage where this spring the harvest is coming. And if I am lazy, it will make for poverty. But if I am diligent in with my hands, and I am at the harvest, and I am collecting everything, all the seeds that I have grown, they've now sprouted up. And if I don't act on that, it's gonna cause for poverty. There's no other way around it. But if I diligently harvest those fields of crops that have been planted, I will have a reward. And sometimes we get caught up in the slow times and they overtake us. And that's why I think having a community of men is so important, because being alone in those seasons is really hard. I've experienced that in the past. And now I try to surround myself with other like-minded men. Um, and it doesn't have to be specifically in business though. Like I have a Bible study where we talk about just life in general, and having those conversations where we talk about each other's highs and lows and how we're getting through them and relate them to the Bible. It brings a sense of peace that like other people suffer just as much as I do. Um, and it also holds me accountable to the fact that like I got to go tell these guys that I was lazy all week and I don't have a harvest to, collect, right? And it just makes me want to diligently work with my hands more. Because if I got to go to the table and tell them I sat around all week and I did nothing, to me now that's convicting. Whereas before I didn't have that group of people and I didn't have those guys to hold me accountable and talk to, where that might not feel as bad and it feels good in the moment. But bringing that to a group of guys and telling them that I sat around all week and did nothing is convicting. And so my end of this lesson today from the Bible is you will be more likely to work diligently with your hands if you have other men who are doing the same. And that's where we talk about iron sharpening iron. Um, and I love Proverbs. We're gonna get into it more, but Solomon drops so much wisdom in here that we just spent about 6 minutes on literally two verses. That's the most powerful thing about the Bible and how it's changed me is that there's so many different lessons to learn in here, and if we really peel back the layers, we can understand why these things were written. They weren't written to make it harder for us and make life miserable. They were written to say, here are the keys to here are the keys to the kingdom. If you want to do them, you can. There's a choice, right? And obviously the ultimate kingdom is eternal life, but there's a recipe here that he's putting out there to live a wonderful life. Now that's not going to come without suffering, but sometimes we have to suffer and be lazy and experience it firsthand. I've experienced that myself in order for it to change us. Um, and that's the beautiful thing about Christ is that sometimes he lets us fall to understand that we can actually get back up. And we have a choice to either build our foundation on the rock or the sand. And one will make us sink and one will let us stand firm. And yeah, what a beautiful thing. So I'm going to end this here because I've been talking for 7.5 minutes. But if this helped you, let me know in the comments. If you got something to talk about, reach out to me. And with that, we'll log off.